feel like a complete child riding a scooter for the first time since I was 5, but actually I think this could be the answer. All the portability problems gone. We got here in, it's about 3.5 kilometres, and we got here in about 7.5 minutes with no real effort, apart from all my teeth are shaking loose and my knees are killing me, but apart from that, great. Right, let's get on with the photography. I'm going to take off my helmet so I don't look any more of an idiot than I feel. Here we are at the Park of Arts and Culture, and there's something that I really love about architecture. There's something about architecture on this scale that is awe-inspiring in exactly the same way as, say, the Grand Canyon is awe-inspiring, or the Garafa Desert's awe-inspiring. This to me seems to be sort of almost like maximum human. This is pinnacle human achievement. It's beautiful, it's permanent, and it is just fantastic. So I love photographing architecture. Now, there's a few things about photographing architecture that become quite interesting. One is that obviously you need your skies to cooperate. So, you know, a bright blue sky, we can often turn black in post-processing and go for the black and white look. Or if you've got interesting clouds, you can slow those clouds down with a long exposure. And this is why I tend to use filters quite a lot when I'm doing architecture. It's in order to get control of that time. And I always think with architecture that what you're really trying to do is to tap into the architect's thought process. When the architect was designing this, he had something in mind, he had a vision, and as a photographer, it's not trying to make something startlingly original. It's not Chris Wright's vision that matters here. It's the original architect's vision, and we try to tap into that as much as possible. So one of the things, for example, is his use of water and the idea of smoothing that water out and getting the reflections the way that he intended it to be seen. And it's some interesting challenges. Excellent. I tend to use a variety of lenses for architecture. I've got a 11 to 24 mm super wide lens, which is an absolutely beautiful lens. It's really clear and it keeps the angles straight, which is a remarkable piece of engineering by Canon, but there it is. I love that lens with a passion. I also use the 16 to 35 mm lens. You can get some lovely effects with that, with turning it on its end, shooting in portrait mode and getting those angles and the sort of sweeping architectural features to really stand out. And of course I use a long lens for detail, so 70 to 200 to zoom right in and get some of the detail of the architecture. Other times you can use a tilt shift lens if you're struggling to maintain, and this is actually a good point. One of the things with shooting buildings is often that you can't fit the whole building into one frame of the camera, so the temptation is to shift the camera and tilt it upwards. As soon as you do this, you're going to get this phenomenon known as converging verticals, where the lines that should be parallel turn into that. And you can correct for that in software, but in order to do so, you have to remember that you're going to lose a lot of the area of the frame. As soon as you start twisting the spatial qualities of that frame, you're going to have to crop into it. So if you're going to take the software approach, you have to step back and get a lot of space around the whole building, and then you can crop into it. You can these days fix it a little bit with AI, but I prefer not to do that myself. I have a sort of purist approach. But if it's sky, that's not a major big deal, as long as you can't tell in the photograph. Just adding a little strip of sky along the top's permissible in my book, but who am I to say? But the tilt shift lens will get you around that problem, because with a tilt shift lens you sacrifice foreground for height. So you can have the camera at this height, and normally that will give you a massive amount of foreground and about half the frame to fit the building in. With the tilt shift lens, you can literally shift the lens, and the inner workings of that lens make a shift of a couple of inches down here, a couple of centimeters down here, equates to 20 feet, 30 feet in the building itself. So it's a great way of getting perfectly pristine architectural photographs. Okay, so I'm going to put these new filters on, and these are the case magnetic filters. And the first thing you do is you put on the holder ring. So this goes on the end of the lens. Just screw it in like that, but not too tight because you don't want to ruin the thread. What we're doing now is we're just putting a circular polarizer on. You see, this is the polarizer, silver ring around it. It clips on and it's held in place magnetically. Then you rotate it to get the strength of the polarization. And if I wanted to slow the shot down, I could put a neutral density filter on top of the circular polarizer. But I'm not going to demonstrate that. I'm just going to take the photograph. We need to use these filters here for two reasons. One reason really, it's all about cutting reflection out. So if you look across the water, you'll see there's a lot of reflected light, and this really shows up and ruins a photograph. Also, as much as possible, the reflections off the building. But I don't think we're going to be terribly successful with that. If we look across at the writing at the Palais de les Arts, you'll see right at the base of the letters, you can see the beginning of a reflection. If you look at the picture, we've almost got the complete reflection of the letters. The eye doesn't see that particularly unless you sort of screw up your eyes and squint. So that's the real reason that we're using the polarizing filter, and it'll make the blue a little bit more vivid and the sky a little bit more vivid as well. So it's all in all a good thing. Right, look at that, it's great. It's wonderful. It's part technology park and part wildlife park. Look at the seagulls and this. Look at them all sitting on the sign. What I'm going to do is I'm going to use a 16mm lens here, and I'm going to struggle to get all of this in shot because this really is very wide indeed. So what I'm going to do is I'll use the 16mm lens, and I'm going to step back so that I get lots of room around the photograph, around the building. So the core bits that I want, any stretch of this building on the right, and I need to get the whole of the building on the left into the shot, and I don't think I'm going to be able to do that easily. The thing to do is to step back and back and back until you've got more space in the image, and then you can crop in. The one thing you can't do unless you want to use AI to do it is to add room around the image in. So we want this, what we're seeing here, to sit nicely into a frame. First thing I'm going to do is just check what I can see in this, and it's actually, I'd like a little bit more headroom, but actually it's a nice shot, and I might just grab this in any case. So I'll take the ISO back down to 100. and we're on 1/320th of a second, which will Okay, the intent of the architect when he designed this building was that the water should reflect the building, that there should be symmetry. And he talks quite a lot about that, and you'll see now there's quite a bit of wind on the lake. So if we take a look around here, you can see that the reflection of the water is sort of rippled and ruffled up. It's very imprecise. There's one thing we can do about this. We can use an ND1000 polarizing filter on front of the lens, and that will have the effect of slowing the exposure right down. So it's such a dense filter that what would be 1/125th of a second, we can slow down to 15 seconds or more. So we can adjust to taste, but the effect of it will be to smooth the top of the water and make these reflections much more precise. So we've got the 82mm step-up ring. And what I do is I rotate it anti-clockwise until it finds the thread, because we don't want to mess up the thread on this because it'll make it unusual. So now I've got it in there, nice and tight, and I put a polarizing filter in first. This is the ND1000 filter, and this is really dense, so you can see you can't see through that. Yep. So I'm going to put that on the front of the lens. I've already made the focus. And what I'm going to do now is look up the equivalence of the 1/25th of a second. I've slowed this shot down to 8 seconds, and that's made quite a big difference. You can really now see the verticals in the water. What I'm going to do is slow it down a little bit more. I've got two choices here. I could push the f-stop up, or I could put another filter on the front, but I'll choose to do this with the f-stop. So I'll check here. So take my filter off so I can get a reading here, and it's now registering at 1/50th of a second to get a correct exposure. Put on my filter again. Look up in the thing what 1/50th of a second equates to, and it's nearly double, so it's around about 15 seconds. Should do it. So I'll dial 15 seconds in. So guys, if you found this useful, just pop down underneath the video and give us a like or a subscribe. That would be fantastic. And we'll have another video for you here same time next week. See you then. Thanks very much.